Welcome back. You're watching One-on-One with renowned American civil rights activist, Reverend Jesse Jackson. Those early years, when you were trying to get that civil rights movement going, the time was very different for black people in America. How hard was it to mobilize people against the system?
It was difficult, Riz, because the intimidation was so great. We did not have legal protection under the law. So black teachers made less money than white teachers by law. That would be unacceptable today. You know, blacks, they go to the back of the bus or go to jail. If many blacks tried to register, they could lose their jobs, lose their lives. We could not have whites as next door neighbors. I mean, it was a whole world of can'ts and don'ts.
Your close relationship with Dr. Martin Luther King gave you an insight into his mind. You knew what the mission was. You shared that mission. How do you think he would regard the America of today?
He would be delighted, and yet he would speak also of the great accomplishments and the unfinished business. He would delight in that we are now more civil, that we relate to each other in very public ways and in very embracing ways. Blacks running for every conceivable office, including the presidency.
You were with Dr. Luther King, Martin Luther King, when he died. I know you've told the story a number of times.
When he was brutally killed, he didn't just die.
Take me through that, through your eyes, what happened there?
Well, the tensions were great. He, though a man of love and nonviolence, he was very hated. White America learned to hate him, the fact that he challenged the Southern culture and this racist assumptions. As we sought to change that system, he became the object of much hate and vilification. So we went to Memphis, Tennessee, and a garbage worker strike. That Saturday before we went, he was very perplexed because he said, so all alone, so isolated. He said, I thought about the division in our struggle today. And maybe after 13 years, I made a big contribution. Maybe I should just quit now and go back and begin to teach and become president of Morehouse College. He didn't say no, but then I thought maybe if I could just fast and pray to the point of death, my friends would come to my rescue and we could revive our coalition. Then he said, we can't stop. We've got to go on to Memphis. We've got to fight for a poor people's campaign, a job, an income, a health care for everybody across lines of race and gender and religion. So he went to Memphis with that sense, I think, of relief. He had come to grips with, he knew better than we did the threats and pressures he was under. And so the night before, the day before we went to Mason Temple Church, where he was last speech, we met with ministers and different people organizing around Memphis. The day of April 4th, we sat around the room most of the day laughing and talking about his past, how his father met his mother. It was just like a very joyous day of celebration. He was like relieved. And we were on the way to Reverend Billy Kyle's home for dinner at 6 o'clock. I was coming across the courtyard. He said, Jesse, you don't have on a shirt, you don't have on a tie. We're going to dinner. So I said, Doc, the prerequisite of eating is appetite, not the tie. He said, you're crazy. We laughed. He was talking to another friend of mine about play a song, Precious Lord, and he raised him and said, Doc, a bullet hit him right here. And everything was so sudden and everything changed so drastically. I remember somebody saying, get low, get low. Because whoever it was, if they had sprayed the bullets, could have gotten a lot of us, you know. I remember running up the steps and blood was everywhere. And police were coming toward us with their guns. We were saying, don't come this way with your guns, it's that way. And we didn't know what to do. We were just paralyzed. And I remember Dr. Abbott saying, this is my friend, let me talk with him. And as he tried to talk with him, I got up and went and called Mrs. King on the phone and said, Dr. King has been killed. And he's been shot. I didn't say killed, I said been shot because I couldn't break that news track. I couldn't quite say that. It was an ugly scene. But out of the blood of the martyrs comes the redemption. Because he died, so many others lived. He was a transformative figure.
Of course, America changed after his death, but how did it change you personally?
Well, it just kind of determined to give all that I have to give as long as I have to give it. I can never retire. I've lived through the dangers of being jailed, the dangers of the threats, the dangers that my family faced, the anxiety of what might happen to me. But every time I think about my pain and think about him lying there, it's by comparison, I drive on, because this is my life's work, this is my ministry, this is my life, and so, but also see progress. He would often say, something within us tells us that we ought to be free, and something outside says we can be.
You yourself ran for president 1984, 1988. How did that campaigning, how did that sort of elevated task, what did it teach you?
Well, the vastness of America. I mean, it was a transformative period for me, just to see so much, know so much, and have to learn so much that ordinarily would have been outside of my world.
Of course, when you put yourself out there politically, you're going to have your supporters, you're going to have your detractors, and it's quite a tough environment. How do you, at a personal level, how comfortable are you with the sort of cat and mouse game of politics?
Well, I know the only persons who have unclean uniforms are those on the bench. Those who play have scars, and they have blood and green stains, and sometimes you make mistakes, you get back up again, because politics is a contact sport. Change requires surviving the contacts. I mean, if you're going to be a Moses, you've got to face a Pharaoh. If you're going to be a Mandela, you face the risk of jail or death. You're going to be a Martin King. You're going to be a Jesus. You must face no risk, no reward, and you get your stars from your scars, and you've got to be willing to engage to make things happen. So it's not risk-free. It's heavy duty. But the change that you see, the progress that you see, becomes a constant source of inspiration.
How do you handle, for example, having your dirty laundry washed in public? There was the issue of your daughter born outside, born from an affair, Ashley, in '99. When people put this out in the media, it affects your family. How do you handle that? Where do you find the strength?
Well, it hurts, but you know, when you swing the bat a lot, sometimes you hit, sometimes you don't hit. And I think for me, I think people judge you about like they want to be judged by you. And I've tried to live well enough, serving others long enough, since people absorb the blows. And I did the right thing. I did not seek to deny, a lie about my child, and God bless, she's growing, and I was born in the same or similar circumstances. And so you always hurt when you disappoint people.
What would you like to achieve personally and perhaps professionally now? What targets have you set yourself?
You know, it's still hard for me to say. I'll live each day fully. There's a sense that we really can regain our footing in the world as a nation of hope and not a nation of threat. So much of my work, Riz, is trying to convince people whose spirits have been broken that you can make it. You are somebody. What is it
you love most about your work, and what is it you hate the most?
What I love the most is watching people come alive. I mean, you sow seeds and you watch many seeds, some hit the rock, some hit the wind, some eaten by the birds, and some germinate. That's the gratification. As I travel now all around the country, around the world, I see people at the UN. You spoke in Liberia, you spoke in South Africa, you spoke in Zimbabwe, you spoke in my high school. You see people blossom whose lives I've touched in some way is a great gratification for me.
What's the worst thing? What is it that you don't like about doing it?
Well, often to be so misunderstood. Because those who were there to change the world must face the controversy and the cynicism. I mean, after all, Jesus was killed at 33. Dr. King was killed at 39. Mandela in jail for 27 years. I mean, the price you pay to be a change agent is often physically harsh, it's life-threatening, it's life-ending, it's to be misunderstood, and few of them live long enough to see their point realized. Mandela did. In some sense, I have lived long enough to see many of my efforts realized. But it hurts to be misunderstood, so you're always fighting to understand and to be understood.
How would you like to be remembered, Reverend Jesse Jackson?
Oh, Riz, that's for people like you to determine.
Legacy.
That's for people like you to determine. I've lived, I've served, and I find great joy in serving, sacrificing, sharing, and growing.
Reverend Jesse Jackson, God bless. Thank you for talking to me.
Thank you.